We are now live. We are live. Good evening, IG. Good evening, IG. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day so far. This is Kevin Talbot, the co-founder and chief creative director of Crown Media Group. One of Live with Jina. We are getting ready for our host to join us right now. What's up, everybody who is tuning in? Ginati, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. Great to see you.
Same here.
Oh, let me get my tripod situated. Okay, good. Because I always got to remember when we go live with each other for these conversations, I usually get cut in half. So it's all good. How's your day going so far for today?
I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be able to do these workshops. And yeah, let's get started. That's really exciting.
Nice.
Thank you, Kevin.
Nice, no problem, no problem. So I see that we have some folks who are tuning in now. For those who are tuned in, welcome to episode 1 of Live with Jina, Becoming a Better You. This is a workshop series that both Arco Press and Crown Media Group came together to create so we can help give you some prevail points so you can overcome in your everyday life. And so every month we're going to have a different theme. And this month's theme is how to get closer to your goals and vision. And every week we're going to have a different theme so that way you can come along with us on this journey as we all
Yes.
work to become better in our everyday self. So
Yes,
what I
for
actually
sure.
want to do right now is I want to take this time. I'm going to turn over to you, Gina. You're going to introduce yourself to everyone, tell them a little bit about you, who you are, and then
Yeah.
let's get our conversation started.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited for this new journey. We are working on these workshops, and it's all extended from the book Prevail, the process of overcoming. But I'm just the average Joe, in my opinion. Um, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I do a lot of things, but at the end of the day, my goal is that I'm focused on my vision and my calling. So yeah, I'm here to help. I think that in a lot of the things that I have grown into and God has placed in my hands, I can really help some of the folks out there. So I think this is part of the reason why we're out there, we're live, we're talking, and yeah, we're excited.
Nice. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. So I see some folks who are now entering the conversation. Welcome
Yes,
to those that just joined. You are tuned into episode 1 of Live with Gina, Becoming a Better You.
yes,
And this is an interactive workshop series that we created for you.
right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage everyone as Gina and I are having our conversation. If you have any questions, feel free to submit them. Because obviously, like we said, this is for you. This is so that you can become better in your everyday lives.
Of
So if it's
course.
something that you want to know, post those questions and we'll get to them.
Yeah,
So as I was mentioning, so every month we're going to do a different theme. And this month we're focusing on how do we get closer to our goals and our vision. And I
right,
think, it's great to start with episode 1 and actually developing a vision, right?
right,
Because I know this is
right.
something that you and I always talk about how important it is to have a vision because that's kind of like the roadmap. So let's start there. Why don't you talk to us and tell us from your perspective, one, what is a vision and why is it important to have one?
Well, I think, growing up in church, right? So I have a background in church and I have a business background and I have a social work background. So I've done a few things and I have realized that if you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a GPS of where you're going, you're not going to get there. So it's kind of like going into your car and not putting an address in and not knowing where you're going. So, the Bible talks about a man without a vision will perish. It talks about it in Proverbs. And what is really talking about is that a man in general needs guidance to where they need to go. And a lot of times we're not brought up that way, right? We're not brought up that, listen, hey, wake up. What are you going to do today? You do a to-do list, have goals and all this great stuff. We just kind of wake up and do the mundane things and, eventually go to school, get a good education to get a good job. And that's great for many people. But for the most, people get stuck in that routine where they know in their hearts that there's something more, right? There's something more in my life. This is not what I'm supposed to do the rest of my life for 45 years, for 50 years. I want to do more. And I think that when we start analyzing and saying, hey, what is it that I have to do? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. A vision is kind of saying, you know what? I need to stop what I'm doing and I need to look beyond. What am I supposed to be doing? What is my 5-year goal? What is my 5-year plan? Should I be where I'm at right now? Should I be doing what I'm doing? And maybe what you're doing right now is the steps that you need to take in order for you to reach that goal, right? Some people are in college because they want to be a doctor, and that's great. They see the vision, they see the goal that they're going to be a doctor. Some other people are entrepreneurs. They're not into that 9 to 5. They're like, that's going to drive me nuts. I can't do this. And they start finding and looking, what do I like? What do I like to do and where I have to be? But I think in general, God has given us the ability to create wealth, to create greatness, to change the legacy of our families. And for many of us that are probably listening to me today, you're realizing that there's so much more in your life, right? You don't want to be mediocre, right? You don't want to be in that stage of, I hate my life. And many people are. Many people are, especially through this COVID. God kind of opened this whole ministry and this calling to me through the time where America was the most anxious, the most not knowing what to do with their lives. And it made a lot of people sit down and really start thinking, what should I do with my life? So that's why I wanted to talk about vision. When you guys brought this topic up, I said, that's so key, because we really got to figure out, why are we here? Well, how does that sound to you, Kevin?
No, 100%. You nailed it right on the head. And especially, when you brought up the analogy of the GPS, right? Like, it's tough to go someplace if you don't have that end destination of where you're going. And, and that's true for many of us, just like you said, we really aren't naturally taught how to set goals or how to say, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to end up. And many of us are just wandering through life, just hoping that we can get to a destination that is somewhat close to what we want to do. And I say somewhat close because many of us don't even know 100% what it is that we want to do. So that's why we kind of end up in the area, and which is really way off. So I see more people are joining our live. Welcome to Live with Jina, Becoming a Better You. I'm also going to take this time to encourage everyone to share this live with folks who you feel could really benefit from this conversation, because
for sure.
like we said, the whole purpose of this is, to, talk about points that we can all use to prevail in our everyday lives. And, and it doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur, you have a 9 to 5, these skills and these talking points are going to help benefit us all. So I'm going to dive back into the conversation now.
Yeah, for sure.
And, it's funny. One thing that you brought up just now, like you said, we aren't really naturally taught these things. So I actually want to ask you, so how did you develop that, right? Like, so maybe tell us a story, like, of when it was you realized you needed to have a vision and kind of how you came to say, this is what I want to do.
Well, I think we all are given that in our hearts. I think we're kind of born with wanting to do something great. And life within itself beats us up. Life beats us up, takes us through the ground, take us through wherever we have to go to take away that greatness that we have. And that's what life does. Let's be real, right? I always talk about the struggle. I talk about the pain. I just finished talking on my podcast before on, pain has purpose. And what pain does is that it escalates you where you need to be. It gets you stronger. Life doesn't get easier. It just gets you stronger. You just get stronger in the journey so that you can achieve your dreams and goals. And I think when I was younger, I grew up in a preacher's kid's home, and I grew up my whole life with my parents were leaders, and I just saw the servant hearts that they had, but I wanted to take it to another level. And I think that we need to realize that each generation should be so much better than the generation before. But the goal is, what are you going to do so that the generation coming behind you is going to be better. You see,
Correct.
what are you doing? What are you embracing your life in so that the generation in front of it behind you could be better? And what I did was that I went to school, I got my education, I did social work, I wanted to help people, but I said, man, I want more. Like, is it okay to make money? You know, sometimes the church talks about, you know, you got to be poor because that means humble. That's a lie. The Bible
Right.
never talks about humbleness equals poor, equals
Correct.
poverty, you know.
Correct.
And I wanted more, and I said, what can I do so that I can make more money, so that I could help the church, so that I could help my family, so that I could help the people around me, so that I could give more to those that I can supply that need, so that I could supply their needs. So I started my business real early on. I was 19 years old, and I started a business selling travel packages. And I was excited, and I told everybody, yes, you know, I want to do this, and you know, I remember them telling me, you got to go here, you got to do this, and I said, yes, I'm going to do it. And but I was excited. I kind of found my passion in helping people. I found my passion seeing that if people, if I give people what they want, I'm eventually going to get what I want. And I started learning how to not to be selfish, not to be the type of people that is all about them. I figured that if I could help somebody, I could eventually get where I want to be. And I started my business, and you know, forward 20 plus years later, I had a few businesses in between. I still have a business today. And you know, a couple of months ago, just again the vision, God spoke to me. I was sitting up on my bed, and he told me, hey, you've had a passion to write a book for like 10 years. And actually my friend, she's on, I think she's on, my friend told me, you know, you've been talking about this book for like 10 years. And I didn't even realize it until she pointed it out. And she said, you know, like, you're not surprising me that you have to write this book. And long story short, I had a vision, and my vision was, God told me I need to write this book. And we're going to talk a little bit, how do you figure out what your vision is, or how do you figure out what you need to do in life? And I'm going to talk about that. You see, because whatever angers you is what God gives you the ability to change. And usually is that passion that he's equipping you so that you could change that situation to become a better you.
Correct.
And God gave me that vision in July. I mean, it's a year. And in 4 to 5 months, we wrote the book. We had 4 projects, Spanish, English, audibles, blah, blah, blah. And that's all great and dandy. But the goal is, what the issue is here is, what do you do when you get that vision? Because everybody's going to get it eventually, right? If you just stay still, the Bible talks about be still and know that I am God. If you just stand still, you're going to know, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to do. Oh my God, I got to start this business. I have to do this. And you know, for some people, it's not a business. And I wanted to talk to you about that, Kevin. For some people, it's a job. You know, but for them, that's a dream, because all of their families don't have a job.
Right.
They might grow up in a Section 8, in welfare, in you know, in a situation where they're immigrants, or they just didn't see that success. So for them, having a job 9 to 5, it's successful. You know, and so we're trying to figure out for people here, what is your calling? What are you supposed to do?
Right.
So that's my story, right? Last July, God just told me, I was going crazy because I like my mother, Mommy, you gotta write this book, you know, and God told me, hey, if you have that passion, it's because I've given it to you to write.
100%.
And did I answer your question?
Nah, you nailed it on the head. No, and that's actually, I'm glad that you shared it, because, you know, one of the things that you said that just stood out to me is, like, you know, the vision is very different for everyone. Right. And I feel like for many of us, you know, we feel like it needs to be grand for it to be a vision. Right. Like, you know, for example, so I'll share a little bit of my story. For me, you know, from a very young age, I always knew that I wanted to do something that impacted people throughout the world. And so for me, you know, growing up in the Bronx, I figured the fastest way to do that was working in media. And granted, media back in the day wasn't like what it is now. So how did I know that? Or how did that come to me as a
Right.
kid in the
Right.
5th grade or 6th grade? Like you said, like
Right.
things get planted inside of you. But for many of us, you know, we're so active. We're doing so many different things that we never really take time to sit and be still, even with ourselves, to say like, okay, what is it that I like or don't like? And it actually leads me on to my next question. How important is, and you know, this just came up with something you said.
Yeah.
How
Yeah. Yeah.
important is self-awareness in developing a vision, right? Like I think, you know, like you said, sometimes people may say, okay, someone else is doing this, or this is what I want to do, but it's not really true to them. So how important is it for you to really know yourself in developing your vision?
You know, I think that when you get older, right, and school doesn't teach this, high school should be teaching this, college should be teaching this. Um, you know, you graduate from high school and it's kind of like you go to see your counselor and you just want to do whatever position you can make money in. They're not really digging into your heart and filling out, you know, figuring out what should be your calling, or what should be what you should be doing, right? They don't talk about that. But you when you get older, you start realizing and you start feeling these feelings of, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I should be doing something different. I want my life to mean something. I want to leave a dash, right? What dash are you going to leave when you're gone? And that is, I believe, a normal feeling in your heart, that is something that happens when you get older. And sometimes it happens when you're younger, you know, but
Right.
when you get older and you're kind of like doing the 9 to 5, or you're kind of like not where you want to be, you're just doing that because you need to pay off $150,000 of college debt, you know, and you need a job. And then you
Right.
wake up and you say, oh my God, I don't want to do this. So it is very important to realize and to be aware that we were created for greatness, and to be aware that you were created for a purpose, and to be aware that you have your own DNA, you have your own fingerprint, and you were created to make a mark in this world. And what happens is that not everybody grows up that way. Not everybody grows up thinking or saying, you know, I'm meant for greatness, because we get older and we're just big kids, right? We get older and we're just a bigger girl, a bigger boy. But we still living in those thoughts that our parents told us, you know, maybe you're not worth it, or maybe, you know, stop following the dream. You need to pay the bills, you know, or don't go for your singing career, or don't go for your whatever it is that sometimes doesn't pay the bills, right? That's the reality. You know, it doesn't pay the bills, but in reality, what happens is that you need to learn how to embrace your vision and do it probably while you're still working,
Right.
right?
Correct.
So that's a big one right there. You work, but then you do your real life after work, until
100%.
what you're good at pays you enough money that you no longer have to work. You know, you're doing it. And so it is very important to be self-aware. It is very important. You know, everybody has uniqueness, everybody has purpose. And if you're listening to me today, it's because you know somewhere in your heart you were meant for greatness. And you got to figure out, and that's our task really in this world, in my opinion. Our
Right.
task is figuring out why you need to be here, figuring out what's going to be your legacy, figuring out what you should be doing. And in reality is, you know, you got to realize that it's time for you to make a change,
Yes.
right? Don't
Yes.
make a change. And if you're married with 3 kids and you know that your 9 to 5 is paying the bills, don't leave that to go follow your dream. Do the 9 to 5, but let your evenings build your legacy. Or if
100%.
you're young and you're still living with your parents, this is the time. If you're in your teens and you're in your early 20s, this is the time to figure out what you want to do. For some people it's younger, for some people it's older. But you know, God has given a vision to everybody, and our task is to find it.
100%. And I want to say, you know, thank you. That answer was spot on. I mean, there was really no right or wrong answer, but you nailed it. Because, you know, like the self-awareness thing is so important because, you know, and it's tough, you know, if you don't have a vision, you know, obviously, you know, you can get misled or swayed away. And I think it's important to, if you know yourself, you'll know, okay, this is meant for me, and this is
Right.
not meant for me. Or even if, you know, you start going on the path and maybe you're on the, you'll know quick enough to know, okay, nah, this is really not the path, or this is just a pathway to get to where I need to be. So
Well,
I
think
think it's a,
about this, Kevin. Think
mhm.
about this, right? Whatever comes easy to you, whatever bothers you when somebody's doing it wrong, right?
Yes.
That bothers you, man. Don't take that picture that way. Do it this way, right? I was talking to one of my friends before, and I was, whatever gets you uncomfortable and it can continually get you uncomfortable is usually what God has created you to solve, whatever that is,
Correct.
right? The iPhone was created because the guy from Apple said, I'm tired of these other phones.
Right.
There has to be a new phone created so that we could
Yes.
communicate better. And
Yes.
he changed the world. Same thing with Facebook, right? I need to communicate with my college team, with my college roommates, with other colleges. The way we're communicating is not right. You know, we need a better way. Boom, Facebook was created.
Mm.
And it's just, everybody that's listening to me here today has the ability to find their vision.
Yes.
Don't let the devil lie to you, right? I don't want to get religious, but I am very spiritual. Don't let people lie to you. Don't let people lie to you and tell you that you were not created for greatness. Don't let the haters get their way, because haters are going to hate no matter what. Whatever you're doing, they're
Exactly.
going to hate. You
Exactly.
start a business, they hating. You got a job, they hating. You got a house, they hating. Forget about the haters. You know,
100%.
God says that He will put them right in your table while He's blessing you. So
100%.
stop doing that and go get you. Go get
Yes.
what's yours, whatever that is. Start your business. Start it small. You know, maybe it's getting another job. Maybe you should be promoted at your job. Maybe you should be a manager and you're afraid to apply for that management job because you feel you're not worth it. Go apply for that management job. Go do what you have to do. Do something. It's funny. I saw today in Facebook, right? I'm trying to, it's hard, social media, oh my Lord. But it said, COVID started and we all made a plan to start reading the Bible and praying more. 14 days later, you finish all your shows on Netflix, you know?
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
kind of, I started cracking up because I was like, oh my God, you know, you get, when you're up against the wall, you make all these decisions that you really should be doing anyway. And then you lose focus and you lose that discipline that you need to get where you need to be.
For sure. For
That
sure.
makes sense?
Yeah, it's making perfect sense. So I saw some new people join our live. Welcome to episode 1 of Live with Gina, Becoming a Better You. This
Yes.
workshop series is designed for you to give you points so you can prevail in your everyday life.
Oh, yeah.
And episode 1, we're talking about how to develop a vision. So
Yes.
if you have any questions, I know there's some folks who submitted questions before the show. If you have
Yeah.
questions, you can submit them now, either in the comments or there's a Q&A feature. Do you see the little question mark box right there? You can
Yes.
submit your questions and we'll answer them to you. And I want to shout everyone out in the comments. I see you all. You're giving us all the love. It's almost like y'all are preaching with Gina, because y'all are saying the same thing she's saying. Shout out to Tasha. I see you. Shout out to Kaylin. We see you. Shout out to Yeef. We see you. They're in it. They're in it
They're
right
in
now.
it. They're in
They're in
it.
it right
Thank
now.
you so much.
The
That's
gems
awesome.
are spreading. So I'm also going to encourage you all, share the live. Share the live with people who you know could benefit from this, because that's the purpose here, is we want to make sure we spread this. So, all right, so let's get back into it. So I'm actually going to start going into some questions that people submitted beforehand, and
Okay.
and you all keep submitting your questions as well. So the first one is, okay, and it's actually kind of something you just spoke about just now. So, all right, so when thinking about my vision, what are some things I should think about? Like, what questions should I ask myself when trying to develop a vision?
Wow, that's a good question.
That's a great.
Oh
That's a
my
great question.
God, that is a great question. Okay, so when you know what you want to do and you listen to your inner self and you kind of know, like, this is what I should be doing. It comes easy to you. You think you're solving a problem, right? The goal is your vision has to solve somebody's problem in order for you to grow, right? Your vision has to be connected to something that is going to help the world, because you were created for greatness. You wasn't created for greatness for yourself. You were created for greatness for somebody else, so that you can help somebody in their journey. Okay, so tell me the question again.
So okay, so and this, and just to give you more context, this might be someone who doesn't have a vision yet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I don't have a vision, how do I develop one, or what questions should I be asking myself when developing my vision? And actually, it's funny because something that you're saying, and there's something that it came up in another response. You keep talking about your vision impacting others, right? And one of the things that I always encourage people as well, and we also said this, is that sometimes everyone's vision is different. Right. So you may not start off grand, but it's okay to start small. Right. So one of the things that I think that helped me, one of the questions I asked myself was, okay, and I also saw it here in the comments, they spoke about legacy. I said, one of the questions I asked myself was, how do I want to be remembered? Right? Because when I started thinking about that, how do I want to be remembered? Once I kind of answered and defined that question, then I said, okay, if I want to be remembered this way, this is what I want to create or leave behind or start doing so that people could, remember me. So for me, that was one place that I started. Okay, that was the one question that I asked myself. Okay. What is the legacy I want to leave? So for you, when you were developing yours, like, what were some of the things that you asked yourself? Like when you say, okay, brother, 5 years on the road, I want to do this, or 10, like what's the question that popped in your mind? So I think when I started developing my vision, which is, I'm doing it now, right? My vision is really to impact people that have been in pain, people that need a solution to their struggle, or people to understand what struggle is and what struggle is supposed to get you, right? There's a pain to your purpose, but there's also understanding that that struggle gets you and stretches you and makes you stronger. And how did I do that was just listening to, first, if you don't have a relationship with God, and you're asking what I did, okay? Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a relationship with God, I encourage you to find one. I'm not talking about religion or a denomination. I'm talking about, we all spiritual in some way or form. You believe in God, you don't believe in God, but for those that believe in God, I need you to understand that he does talk to you in a lot of different ways. He just doesn't talk to you through the Bible. I mean, that's the main way, right? The Bible is a book of instruction, right? Finding your strength is understanding that you can't do this alone. So it's having that relationship with a higher power, with your God, with the creator, right? Finding that relationship. For me is God. For me is God. And when you have that connection with him, you start realizing and having those questions, I'm really meant to do something more than what I'm doing. I remember a coworker of me telling me, what I'm doing is sales and I'm not really impacting anybody. I want to do something to impact somebody, and I think even in this COVID and being alone at home, you realize, you know what, we need people and we need each other. And a lot of us growing up think that we don't need other people, but that's a lie. Because there's going to be a time in your life that you are going to need somebody. And you are going to need somebody for whatever the case might be. You're going to need that community, right? They talk about a community, raising your children. That, in my opinion, that doesn't even exist, especially from where I'm at, right? I'm talking to everybody. I'm in New York. We were the epicenter for a very long time of COVID-19. And it was really a time of a lot of pain. And what am I doing? I don't leave my house. But we're here to help each other. So you need to figure out what you're good at, and you need to figure out what bothers you the most. Because if it bothers you, that means you were created to fix it. So number one is what you're good at,
Everybody's good at something, you know, singing, playing, organizing. Some people are awesome organizers. I need like 10 of them. Whatever it is for you, right? Everybody has a strength, and you know what your strength is when it comes easy to you. I tell my husband is resilient. Oh my God, this guy doesn't quit. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, I would have quit 5 years ago. He does not quit. That is his calling. His calling is teaching people how to be tenacious just like him. Is letting people know, listen, this is what I have done to get there. In my opinion, once I know what I got to do, I'm focused. Right? I put these blinders on, like the horses. I don't know what they're called, right?
Yep.
What are they called?
Blinders,
right?
Yeah.
And I put them on, and it doesn't matter what goes on around me. I don't determine my outcome on what goes on around me, because I can't control that. The only thing I could control is my thoughts, right? And God has given you the ability to control your thoughts, to bind them if they're not of His, and if they're of His, to develop them.
Right.
So for 10 years, I had this vision to write this book. And I was talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And mommy, and I was shoving it to my mom, right? Mom, you're the one that has to write it. You're the one that has to do it. And then all of a sudden, you know, God just, a light bulb switched, like turned on, because I was connected to God. You know, when it talks about Proverbs that a man without vision perishes, when you start looking at the Hebrew, what it meant in Hebrew, right? Because the Bible was written in Hebrew, and in those times, it means that the people don't have a path. They don't have a way to go. They're not restricted. They're loose. They're all over the place. You wake up, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're eating, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. And a man with a vision is focused. A man with a vision is, okay, I might be doing a 9 to 5 right now, but that's not where I'm gonna be. I'm doing this so then I could get to this level. And from there, I'm gonna go here. And from there, I'm gonna go there. And constantly strategizing within yourself and not letting your surroundings or your emotions control where you need to go.
100%.
Emotions are real, but they're very fake.
100%.
Okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because emotions make you do things that maybe are not good for you. But when you have the truth of God, right? That's why they say if you're very emotional, don't make any decisions. And a lot of people make decisions when they're extremely emotional. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt that my calling was to write this book. And I just put those blinders on and I stay focused no matter what. Even to this day, all the commotion that's going on around me, I'm still doing this live. Because I'm going to do what I'm called to do. Because you know what? When I lay down in my pillow tonight, I'm going to be at peace. Because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love
so
that.
Whoever's listening to me today, they have to find it. Everybody has their own journey. Don't look at me and say, oh, she's so pretty, because I know I'm pretty. I'm kidding. You know, oh, you know, she looks like she got it all together. Because you know what? There's a lot of levels in my life that I still don't have all together. But I got one thing together, is that if God tells me to do something, I'm going to do it.
Correct. No, and honestly, you hit it on the head. You were on fire there, but you nailed it on the head because, you know, to go back and answer the question is, what are some questions that we can ask ourselves when developing a vision, right? My suggestion was, what was my legacy that I want to leave? I also see that Tasha wrote that as well. But one that you added as well is like, what is a problem that I want to solve? Right. And I think, you know, that's a great place to start because, you know, it starts to give you some kind of a purpose. And, you know, you touched on something, or you gave us a little preview of what next week's episode is actually going to be about when you talk about planning, because it's important now that if you actually have a vision and something to focus on, you can now actually begin to take action steps. And that's what we're going to talk about next week in episode 2. So thank you for that. That was great. All right, so I'm actually going to go to my next question, which ties in with something that I saw here in the comments as well. I think Tasha wrote something about setting goals. She actually asked how you set your goals, but another question that was submitted is how important is goal setting in achieving your vision? So let's start there. So we'll start with how important is actually setting goals, and then what are some things that you do to set your goals?
Perfect. So goals are very important. It's only a wish if you say it with your mouth and you don't write it down, right? Every book you read, successful books, I don't get this from my own, right? It's only a wish. Oh, I want to get a house. When?
Right.
What's the date? Are you saving? I'm sorry. What are you doing
Right.
in order for you to get there, right? I tell people, don't call me. I'm on a live. They're calling me. Yeah.
As a
Writing
you're the number
out.
one best-selling author.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
You got 3 phones. That's funny. You know what I mean?
I actually have a house phone. And
It's funny. I have a house phone too. I just never
I
answer
have
it
a house
because
phone.
I
And I
don't
know
know.
this is not cool because I'm live, but I have to answer. Mom,
Yo,
you
I
okay?
love it. I love it. Now answer it. All right,
Mommy, I'm on
everybody,
IG live. Are
you
you
want to take this
okay?
time to keep submitting your questions. I see your
Okay, okay.
questions. I see some more questions are being added in here as we speak. I love this. I love live television. This is amazing. Okay.
Okay, so I just had to pick it up because as everybody knows, there's a storm,
No,
and
for sure.
my mother didn't have light for a very long time. So I apologize. This is usually a priority to me. It
Yeah.
is a priority to me, but it's okay to answer your
But
mom.
your
I'm not.
mother's priority too.
Yeah, I'm not answering just any dude, that's trying to knock on my door. This is my mama. So,
Good.
yeah, tell me the
So
question
yeah,
again, I promise.
back to goal setting. How important is
Yes.
setting
Okay.
goals in accomplishing your vision, and
Yep.
what are some ways and things you do to set your goals?
Perfect. So setting goals are very important. You need to set a goal is not in your mind. You need to set it when you're writing it down. You should have a journal, or you should go to your notes on your phone and have notes. And you should have those goals in your pocket. You should look at them constantly, okay? Because when you look at your goals, it redirects you to the path that you need to be on. Life is so distracting.
Right.
You wake up, 50 million things are going to happen before 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
If you don't have your to-do list, it's so important. So even in my career in sales, even in my career in with my business with my husband, and now with this, with everything that I'm doing online, and with the book and the podcast and everything that I'm doing, I have to set goals. And the way I do it, I wake up early in the morning and I do a to-do list. I do it daily. I have weekly goals. I have monthly goals. I have yearly goals, and I have 5-year goals. In the beginning of the year, whenever you have the time, sit down. What do you want to do? If you don't know what you want to do, guess what? You're never gonna accomplish it.
100%.
I remember reading in a book that Harvard University had a survey done, and the comparison of people actually writing down their goals with a date versus people just talking about them.
Yes.
And don't quote me on this because I could be wrong in the percentage, but it was almost 90% of the people that wrote down their goals and the date where they were going to actually finish it was accomplished versus the people that just said, I want to do this, but never wrote it down, never had a date, never knew, were never guided to where they needed to be. And so one of the things I do when I wake up in the morning, I read my affirmations, and affirmations just, look at yourself in the mirror. Tell yourself how beautiful you are, how you're going to have a great day today. I remember reading in Zig Ziglar, right? Wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to have a great day,
Yes. Yes.
Even if you don't, and your eye is all twitching because you're tired, but it sets up your morning. It sets up like what you're going to do, and part of my affirmation is praying, especially these days. Thank God I'm alive today, God. And you gave me another day so that I could achieve my dreams and goals. And I keep that in front of me. Being humble, being thankful, being grateful is the keys for you to figure out what your vision is and how you could accomplish them. Because if you realize that whatever God gave you is for you to change the people around you and maybe even the world, you're not going to do it for you. You're going to do it for them. So it escalates you to reach that vision even longer. Usually when you do things for yourself, it doesn't last a long time. because we're human. We change our minds all the time. But when you're doing it for somebody else, for the results of somebody else, and it's gratifying. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine that I really, really do believe she should start her own like weightlifting gym. She's amazing. Ever since I've known her, 5 in the morning, I'm gonna go work out. And I'm like, don't even call me at 5 in the morning. Like, you're gonna have to call my house phone because I don't hear nothing else, you know.
For sure.
But I'm getting to 5 in the morning, but I'm not, right? That's Tasha there. She sent me, and I've been telling her, you know, figure out what you have to do because you were meant for greatness, and greatness sometimes is not packaged in a nice gift. Can I talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Greatness is not packaged in a nice gift, and sometimes greatness doesn't feel so great.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my people? You need to write this stuff down.
Yeah, and it's funny you said that because I was also going to tell people, you know, one of the goals here is obviously so you can have takeaways. It's not just for us to have this conversation and then you're done. You know, when you come to these workshops, you should definitely come with a notebook. I think we need to put that in the marketing for next week. Come with a notebook, come with a pen and a pencil, because the goal is you're coming here to get nuggets that you can use and apply on the daily. So I encourage you all. Every time I chat with Gina, even when we're not even, you know, doing stuff that's work related, I'm always like taking notes because you just never know. So, and obviously, and then the goal is at some point we're going to continue to develop this group outside of this. And, you know, we might put together some worksheets and stuff like that so we can actually all work together so we can continue to help each other accomplish our goals.
Just so you guys can know, I am working with my publisher because I want to put all this down on paper and just give it to you guys. Give it for free. You know, this is not about money. You know, I'm so tired of, I already passed that phase of chasing money. Right now, money chases me. I don't chase money anymore. And hey, whatever you confess becomes true. So I'm talking about it. Okay. Because, you know, it's very important for us to understand that we were created with uniqueness, and somebody is going to want a piece of that uniqueness. But first, you got to figure out what that uniqueness is, right? Vision. You got to start making plans, goals, and what do I need to do to get there? And you need to take a risk. You know, we're too safe sometimes, right? We're too safe. And what we're doing every single day, and just being here live is a risk for me because, you know, you got to kind of expose yourself. You got to kind of put yourself out there. But that's okay because we all make mistakes. We're nobody's perfect. I mean, come on, hello. Nobody's perfect, but we're all striving together to become better, right? It's Live with Gina becoming a better you. So how could you become a better you listening to these lives with Kevin and I, right? What could you do to get there so that you could become better every single day? And not let other people put you in a box and, oh, if you're 18, you're supposed to be like this. If you're 25, you're supposed to be here. If you're 72, forget about your goal. Get out of here. If you're still living, you still have something to accomplish. If you're still living, I don't care how old you are. You could be 12, you could be 80. Let me tell you something. If you woke up today, you have greatness inside of you. So it's your goal to find it.
That's what's up. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. So as we get ready to wind down here, what I'm going to do is we're going to go rapid fire round right now. Okay. I'm going to, you know, whatever questions came through, I might just throw them up on the screen. I'm going to ask you some.
Okay.
The first question that came through, I don't know, let me see if you can see it.
Yeah. What is something that motivates me every day? My children, my family. I wake up and I got goals, you know. The people that are coming behind me, they're gonna be better than me. Okay, and I'm gonna leave a legacy. And I'm not gonna be here forever, hopefully, right? Hopefully, when Jesus comes, I'm going with him, and I'll never see death. But the reality is that I need to be. That's what motivates me. Is I wake up every morning, and how could I be better for somebody else to be better?
I like that. I like that. I love it. Okay. Another question that came through is how do you identify your strengths?
When they come easy to you, when you know, and not everything's gonna be perfect, right? I remember speaking in a group of 500 people, and some people came up to me and they were like, "Oh my God, you speak so well." I've been doing this since I'm like 5. Seriously. Like my parents would put me up on stage and it's like, oh, do these, rehearse here, do this here. So it's something that I developed, and I eventually, hopefully, became very passionate about it. For those that are listening to me, hopefully you're excited about what I'm saying. But I've been doing it for a long time, and I developed it to the point where I love to speak in front of people, although I'm super nervous all the time. Like, we're talking right after this, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm nervous because I take it serious and I know it's a calling.
Right.
But find your strength when you know it becomes easy to you.
Right.
It's something like, wow, I'm a good listener. Some people, that's not easy for people to listen to other people.
For sure.
But if you do that and it becomes natural, that's your strength. If you wake up at 5 in the morning to work out every day, regardless of what time you go to sleep, that's your strength. You're focused. You're disciplined. So you find it in those aspects. That makes sense?
100%. 100%. Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad that you touched on that because, you know, for many people, you know, I remember reading this in a book as well, and they were talking about, you know, like your skills and your strengths, how they're like two different things, right? Like your strengths, like are, I think how you describe it was they come naturally to you. Skills are things that you work and develop. And you know, and you kind of want to stay in your strength zone, but go outside of your comfort zone. Yes. Because your skills and your strengths are going to come together to help stretch you to get to where you got to go. So I think I'm glad that you touched on that. You spoke about, you know, the motivation and things that drive you and your strengths, because sometimes, remember, for those who joined late, this week's theme is how to develop your vision. So all we're doing is talking about and asking questions geared around developing a vision. And all these things are important because sometimes, you know, folks may have trouble finding their purpose, but like Jina is saying, look at the things that come naturally to you, right? Like, you know, my story is, you know, for those who don't know, I own a media production company, Crown Media Group. And since a very young age, I always knew I wanted to do something that impacted people. One of the gifts I had was I brought joy to people's face. I told great stories, you know, and I realized that if, you know, people love the way I tell stories, this must be something that I'm good at. And so I'm sharing that just to, you know, confirm what you just said. You know, take time to sit and get to know yourself. That was another thing we spoke about this week. As we wrap up, I'm just going over all the themes that we spoke about. Know yourself, because when you know yourself and what you're good at, what you're not good at, you'll be able to develop a vision that's yours and not someone else's. So thank you for sharing that. That was great. So I see we have a couple more minutes here. What I wanted to do is take the time to say, one, of course, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Like we mentioned, this is going to be a weekly workshop series every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Every week is going to have a different theme that builds off of last week's theme. So if you tuned in this week, please, of course, tune in again next week. Of course. So you can keep building and we can keep growing together.
Yes.
And of course, I encourage you all to share the live. Share the live, because even if someone wasn't here for this week, you know, it's never too late for them to join the journey. And like I said, make sure you're taking notes and stuff so you can share those notes with people, because, you know, our goal is to help each other grow, because when we help each other, that's how we help ourselves, like Jina said earlier. So,
can I just say one thing, Kevin, real quick?
Of course, this is your show. You can say whatever you want.
Listen, I don't want people to be frustrated and listen to me and say, but I don't have a vision. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, right? Some of the questions I saw is like, how do you stay so focused? How do you know, the life is going to be saved, right? That was a question somebody asked. Yes, the life is going to be saved. Sometimes your vision at the moment is to follow somebody else's vision. It could be your husband wants to build a business, but that's not really your vision. But maybe for that moment in time, your goal is to follow the vision of your husband, because that's where you're at that time. Yes. Maybe you're in a church or in a ministry that you don't necessarily have a vision, but you want to follow the vision of the pastor. right? And I'm just talking about church, obviously, because that I'm related to that, but it could be a business as well. You don't have a dream, but you want to fulfill somebody else's dream. And maybe at that moment, that's your vision.
Right.
So don't get frustrated. As long as you start paying attention to yourself and what you're good at and what your strengths are and what you really should be doing, and asking God, God, how could I create a mark in this world? Trust me, you're gonna start seeing things that you didn't see before. You're gonna start realizing, wow, man, I should have done this. And you know what? Look at the connection that I got here. And those doors will start opening because now you're walking in your destiny. Okay,
Yes.
so you need to realize that everybody here has a destiny. You have to figure out what yours is. And I'm so grateful for Crown Media that's doing this live with me, Kevin, as the CEO of Crown Media, because a lot of people, they want to do something big, but they don't want to do the small things first.
100%.
And the small things might be following somebody else's vision until you say, hey, I learned enough, right? Let me go do me. Let me go do my thing, right? But everybody that's great first followed somebody that was great.
100%. 100%.
So,
Every leader that follows.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's just amazing to see where God is taking me. And I could share a little bit about, not today, time is flying, but share a little bit about how I got here, right? This didn't happen from one day to another, although it seems that way. And sometimes when we see people that got where we want to be, we think they got there from one day to another. We think there were no steps, there were no escalations, or there were no connections, or things didn't happen. But you got to start somewhere, so start where you're at.
Right. For sure. And honestly, Gina, I think that's a great place for us to end. You nailed it. You are phenomenal as always, because as I mentioned, every week is a theme that builds off of the last week. So today we're talking about developing your vision, and you started to talk about some actual action things, which is a perfect segue into next week's topic, which is plan your work your plan. Now that we have this vision, how do we actually create a game plan and action steps to actualize and make that dream a reality? So once again, Gina, I want to say thank you so much for your time today. It was a fabulous. Honestly, the hour flew by so fast.
It really did.
It's always amazing. So before we get out of here, just share with the folks where they can follow you, stay up to date with everything that you have going on.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. This year has been extremely just monumental. So right now I'm on IG, which I learned this year means Instagram. I am at Jina Arce-Cotto and at Prevail the Book. In Facebook, you can find me at author-Jina Arce-Cotto or Jina Arce-Cotto, right? You can find me there. I have a podcast called The Prevail Point. I'm up to my almost 20th episode, which is amazing. Oh my God, 20th episode. And it comes out every single Tuesday. The Prevail Point, which we talk on points on how to prevail. And we talk about so many fun things. Wow, I've learned so much doing it myself. We also wrote a book, thank God, called Prevail, the process of overcoming. I'm sorry. We wrote it in Spanish, and in English and in Spanish, which is amazing. We did, you can find it anywhere where books are sold. If you write my name, Jina Arce-Cotto, it comes up. If you write Prevail, the process of overcoming, it comes up. Or in Spanish, Prevaleciendo, el proceso de superarse. Oh, you saw that, right? I'm getting better at my Spanish. Or you can get it in Audibles. You could get it in ebooks, in Kindle, in Audibles. I actually did the English version. It was super challenging, but I think I did a good job. Hey, listen, like you said, you're in your vision, but you're constantly stretching yourself and getting yourself out of your comfort zone, for sure. Yeah, so those are all the things. We're starting a YouTube channel very soon. We're working on a YouTube channel that's coming out very shortly, probably within next month. And yeah, we're just posting things. We're letting people know, letting people in our living room to let them know, listen, we're human just like you, and we're gonna help each other out.
For sure. For sure. And honestly, Gina, keep up the amazing work. As I tell you, I've read the book countless times. I've listened to the audio. And I encourage everyone on the live today, if you haven't already, please make sure you check out the book, Prevail, The Process of Overcoming. Gina's story is absolutely amazing. And there's a ton of gems, ton of nuggets that you can take and apply to your everyday life. And of course, make sure you check out her podcast weekly, The Prevail Point, as she mentioned. And tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Yes.
live with Gina, becoming a better
Woo!
you. And honestly, like we said, this is designed to, help you take away points that you could prevail in your everyday life. So once again, I'm the co-host, Kevin Talbot. We're with the main host, Ginati, and want to say thank you so much. Make sure you tune in next week as we talk about planning your work and working your plan.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
I can't wait. Join us. Many blessings to you guys. Start digging in and figure out what your vision is.
Yes, for sure. And if you can, please submit questions for next week so we can get them answered on the live.
Yes.
All
How
right,
do they
everyone?
submit it?
So they can actually submit either to our DMs at I Am Crown Media, or submit them to yours at Prevail the Book. And what we'll do is we're going to gather those, Tuesday night before, or, sometime Wednesday during the day.
Yeah.
And we're going to get those questions prepped. And like I encourage you all, please share the live with as many people as possible, because, that's our goal, is to spread this information to help some people and help as much people as possible accomplish their goals and visions.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
It's about you guys. Thank you so much, Kevin. Crown Media, you guys did an awesome job. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone. Bye.